I read that one of the best sellers or best beers is the Jalapeño.
Yeah.
Devil's Gap.
Yep. So that beer, when we first started with Kinkaider, Dan the Wiser is our brewer. He's one of my business partners. He had this jalapeno beer, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do this jalapeno beer." And I was like, "Oh man, that doesn't.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. You know."
Yeah.
And it's fantastic beer. It's paid a lot of bills over the years. We grew that brand. That's one of our brands. It's kind of a fun story.
You're listening to Oh My Omaha, the podcast, where we uncover inspiring things about our community through the stories of inspiring people who call it home. I am Dee Harrell, and this is the creator of Oh My Omaha, the blog, and the blogosphere's friendliest face herself, Kim Reiner.
Hi there.
Hey, Kim.
Hi. Good to see you.
You too. How's it going?
Pretty good. We're without electricity at home right now. So it's
is that
nice
a
to get out
neighborhood
of the
thing?
house.
Or?
I think maybe just our street.
So something got blown.
Right.
Just that is that
we went and
one.
took the dog for a walk and came home and we're like, dang it.
Actually, I think that your line down your street is the same with the building across where my office used to be, because I remember there being, and it's just like one strip, like straight down.
Yep.
Hopefully you get it back soon.
Fun.
You had good practice after the storm this
Right.
past summer.
Yeah, 5 days.
5 days,
no
yeah.
electricity, so
Yeah.
At least it's cooler.
Yeah. I won't talk politics or anything, but there's some distractions that I've been looking for since the election. So I was starting to, my daughter is looking into, or she has been using an app to learn Japanese.
Oh, cool.
So she's been practicing. It's like and it gives you credits like as you finish, like, so it's got like a whole like certification thing showing how many hours you put in and whatnot.
Oh,
so
it's
I was
more
like,
official than Duolingo. Then
it is. That's what I was trying to remember. I think it was that, but I was like, cool, I want to do that. Like, I need to learn another language.
we started that in our family. Like we tried to. Like I started with Italian because it was close enough to Spanish. I know Spanish, and I thought it would be a beautiful country to visit.
Yeah,
I kind of died out with that, but Charlotte was trying to learn French.
Yeah.
And she's learning German in school. But
like I'm French. I mean, I know French.
Gamify it. I don't know.
Do they?
They're not really like. I don't know how well you learn it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Parker seems to think that because we watch a lot of like Japanese films or shows that's and music is really helpful, which seems to be working for her. But I don't know. I think I can still read in French from being in Canada because we had to do French all the way through. I cannot speak it. I would love to learn Tagalog and be able to really understand what my parents are saying about me, you know. But Parker, she did German. So Bodhi did French in school. Parker did German. She's like, she went all the way through. She did honors German, and now she wants to do Japanese.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I do not know very much German at all.
No.
I had a German player on my volleyball team, and I could count to 10 because she made us to learn how to count to 10 when we stretched. That's about the extent of that in historical references.
All I know is like we've been looking up German, not curse words, but names to call people.
I mean,
that's like the only thing.
That's kind of how we start in every language, right? What are the curse words?
That's the fun way to learn it. So.
Yeah.
And so we brought up German because you were looking forward to hearing me pronounce
this,
I am. This beer house.
Yes, I cannot wait to hear.
All right, so that'll be coming soon, you guys. You can grade my German. So today joining us is Cody Schmick. He's the co-owner and operator of Kinkaider Brewing Company, Sideshow Spirits, Beer House Maischaller, and Howdy Coffee Company. You may know Kinkaider here in Omaha. They have a tap house in the Exarban Village, but there's tap rooms across the state in a couple cities. And so, Cody, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hi.
I would start with, you guys have a big year coming up for Kinkaider.
We do.
Right?
Yeah. So we we started this whole company in 2014, me and three other guys. in Broken Bow, Nebraska, out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know if you guys are familiar with where Broken Bow is. It's about a town of 3,500 people.
I had to look it up on the map.
Yeah, we took we're about a mile north of Broken Bow on a 4-acre farm where I boast one of the biggest beer gardens in the state of Nebraska because everything's licensed out there, so you can grab a beer, and it's a great place to grab dinner, grab a beer. We got a full B&B on site where people can stay right on on the beer farm there and take tours and do tastings, have dinner. We have shows. We have outdoor volleyball pit. And like I said, yeah, you can stay there as well. So, that grew. Grand Island was our second location. We have pulled back from Grand Island because we've got kind of our big announcement for Kearney coming up, but we've just been kind of reaching across the state. We got a location in Lincoln, Nebraska, just a small tap room right in the Haymarket area. And then here in Exarban Village in Omaha for Kinkaider. And then the beer house, the German beer house, that's also in Lincoln. I would love to put one in Omaha, and I'm looking for spots right now, kind of where would be a good fit, because it's a super simple concept. It's beer, cocktail, sausage, and pretzels. And we have a lot of fun with it. We do a lot of activation, a lot of activities and events there. And you put a polka band in the corner, and it's funny. People show up. Around here, a lot of folks have some level of German or Czech descent,
People are always asking for like German food recommendations.
Yeah.
It's like,
there's not a ton. There's not a ton. So my dad's been a butcher for dang near 60 years now, and he had retired. And he said, "Hey, what do you got for me to do? I'm bored. I want to do something." And I said, "Why don't you make sausages for the German beer house?" Cool. And so it's our number one location right now. Yeah. We also opened our distillery, Sideshow Spirits. We're making bourbon and single malt whiskey. That's in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska as well, but definitely available at our Exarban location here. So lots going on. Kearney is our latest one. We just made the announcement for Kearney 2 weeks ago. We're going to put both a beer house, a German beer house, and a Kinkaider there side by side. Kind of building it. It's our first place that we're building from the ground up. We've kind of retrofit buildings and did whatever we had to in certain places. But this one we get to kind of make all the mistakes from the start. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, really excited for that. And, just to keep growing the business. We got about 140 people on the team, across the state, and adding, probably another 30 to 40 at Kearney. And then, hopefully we can kind of keep growing. I mean, it's our industry's taking a little bit of a beating right now, and I know you guys have seen some of that with closures in Omaha and Lincoln and across the state. But our crew's doing a good job and keeping us relevant and keeping it exciting. Taking care of our customers and putting a good product out there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
I like how I was reading about I haven't been able to go to all locations, but that how the design was very intentional on each, they're different, right?
Yeah. So we really wanted to get away. I mean, and this was my end of the business. I didn't want to just copy and paste, right? I get the reason people do that, right? Is you can kind of work out all the kinks at this location and then just copy and paste, and that's going to work. We really took another approach, which is harder, in that we really wanted to build each of our places and spaces to kind of go along with the neighborhood and the city that we're in. And the continuity comes from the branding, really, at the end of the day. So we don't want all of our places to look the same. The folks that love us in one place, if they go to the next place and it's the exact same, maybe not. I think our at least the craft beer drinker, and I think the whiskey drinker, is looking for kind of that new, exciting, what's fresh, what hasn't been done before. And so they like visiting our spots because each one kind of has a different vibe and a different signature at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's cool.
Thanks.
So I read that one of the best sellers or best beers is the Jalapeño.
Yeah.
Devil's Gap.
Yep. So that beer, when we first started with Kinkaider, Dan the Wiser is our brewer. He's one of my business partners. He had this jalapeno beer, and he's like, "Oh, we got to do this jalapeno beer." And I was like, "Oh man, that doesn't. Yes. I don't know if I can do this."
Yeah.
And it's fantastic beer. It's paid a lot of bills over the years. We grew that brand. That's one of our brands. It's kind of a fun story. So I don't know if you guys remember, on ABC years ago there was a TV show called The Chew. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
It's kind of a cooking and I don't know, kind of a Good Morning America type show.
But contestant from Top Chef or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that world, definitely some big names. Well, a producer of theirs reached out to me, and you never know. Like, I don't know if these things are, hey, Chef Simon on there, he heard about your jalapeno beer and he wants to try it. Will you send this to us? And I'm just thinking, I'll just be out a case of beer, whatever. And she's like, oh, we'll buy everything. Like, we're not looking for handouts or anything, and just write us up. And I said, yeah, let us know when it's going to be on. And it was crazy. I get this, and we were hoping to like know a week or two ahead of time. Well, it just happened, right? So I get this text, and you're going to be on the show today. I get on there. They're drinking our beer. The chef there said, man, I cannot, I think his words were, I cannot think of a better beer to have with a burger. You know, so it was a really nice compliment.
Yeah.
And my phone just explodes after that. Emails and texts and you know, friends. And that was kind of that first thing early on. We're celebrating 10 years this year as a company.
Yeah.
And this was probably in year 2 or 3, right? And so it was just like this huge deal. And I was like, oh, we made it. We did it, you know? And so it's been cool to see just what the brand has done and over the years, and just growing our fan base and growing our community. And so we have a couple of those, you know, kind of mountaintop moments like that over the years that have been a lot of fun.
So who gets, of all of you, business partners or your whatnot, how do you guys all collaborate on like different maybe
products and
flavors?
Stuff. So we do a meeting once a year. We're actually coming up on it for 2025, year of beer, year of spirits meetings, where we bring in basically, if the ship was sinking, I have about 30 people, right, that are our administrative management type crew. We meet weekly, and we've grown the business together. And those 30 people who we try to either get on a Zoom call or get on, preferably all in a room, and we just kind of talk about beer trends and what we're excited about and what we're passionate about and what we think, you know, we should release next year. And so those are always fun. There's usually, you know, a few disagreements in those, which is great. So we do a couple things to incubate new products, because we do, in the craft beer world, you want to stay fresh all the time. I mean, the first question people ask when they come into one of our tap rooms or restaurants is, what's new on tap? They want to know what's new, you know? And so we brew on what's called a 30-barrel system. So a barrel of beer is 31 gallons, so it's about 1,000 gallons. That's our regular kind of commercial system. We also bought a 1-barrel system, and basically the brew team, as long as the work gets done, they can unlimited amount of test batches. We don't limit them on test batches at all. And we've had some beers that were absolutely awful, right? that never made it out. And we had some that went into a few kegs, and we put them out in our tap rooms and got feedback. And then we had some that just kind of exploded, and then we turned it into a package. And so we kind of have this process that usually brewers are more artistic, more creative type people. And we know that if we say, oh, you're making these same 5 beers forever, we're going to probably lose that person, right? So we wanted to have an opportunity that these guys and gals that are in our production team can really experiment and make some mistakes and mess things up a little bit, you know, and then you can kind of ride that into testing it in the market, and then pretty soon you have a beer that we're releasing. So
what's been like an unlikely flavor that has actually
I mean, the jalapeno one was for sure, right? Like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, there's no way we're not doing this, you know? And that was a big one. Another fun one that we did was our I don't know if you've ever heard of Snow Beast. It's our okay. So that is our biggest beer now. Yeah, it's a good time. It just came out. So Snow Beast Day was October 1st. We released both the beer, and this year was our first year we did Snow Beast whiskey. Well, the flavor profile is cinnamon vanilla, right? And there's some flavors out there like fake flavor. We use all real cinnamon, all real vanilla, and we put this in there, and this beer has just grown every year for 10 years. It's the biggest seasonal beer in Nebraska, and we just sell a ton of it. It's a winter warmer, so it's like an amber beer, a little bit darker, not like a porter or a stout, but it's about 7% alcohol, and we sell a lot of it. It's our big one. So then this year we added to the brand, and we released a cinnamon vanilla whiskey that's also underneath the Snow Beast brand, and I think we're sitting at about 750 cases for the season so far, which for a new product product is really, really good. Good sales on that. And so it's been fun to see that brand grow over the years.
Like a funny Snow Beast story. It was like, so I'm pretty sure I had Snow Beast before this. We had, during the pandemic, Crescent Moon started trying to do, they used to have like kind of beer tasting dinners, and they wanted to try one virtual. And so we got friends to get, so we all had a different house, we're at our own houses, but you could go pick up your meal and then you got the beers with it. But because it had all packaged, we each got different cans. We got cans for each course.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, oh yeah, Snow Beast. And so like, as we're talking at the beginning, you could sample a beer and I'm drinking the Snow Beast, but then, not realizing that for each course, we're going to open up another can of beer. And so we had like, I think 4 couples on the Zoom call being led by like the beer guy at Crescent Moon. And it was just like, I think we're getting wasted. By the time we got down to like dessert, we're like,
that's the fun of beer dinners, right?
At least we're at home. Like everyone's at home, and I'm just like, so excited to jump into Snow Beast. But you gotta pace yourself with that stuff. But
I remember that one. That was actually our first like kind of experience like that. And they're like, "You guys want to be a part of this?" We're like, "Oh yeah, let's do it."
Cool.
So yeah. That was fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Cody, do you have any gluten-free options?
Yeah, so we went down the road of cider for a little bit, and ultimately, and I think the guys were making some good cider, but we didn't really have super passionate people on the team that were excited about cider, right? Like I have super passionate beer people and super passionate spirit people. On the spirit side of things, of course, we're doing like vodka and we're getting into gin now, which would be a gluten-free. Technically, whiskey is made with grain, but they cooks all the gluten out of it too, or depending on if it's a preference or an allergy, I think as well. And so as far as like gluten-free beers, we have looked at that. We've looked at the NA thing and we've looked at the gluten-free thing, and the equipment's pretty expensive to do that. There's nobody in the state of Nebraska that's doing them right now. There's a few brands nationally that are actually having some success. In all of our tap rooms, though, we try to have a level of that as options, even if it's not our product.
Yeah,
so
that's nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
I wish I could have whiskey.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish. Especially that cinnamon vanilla situation sounds amazing.
It's good for sure.
Is there a vodka that would work in that?
Oh yeah, we have a vodka that would be, I mean it's a corn-based product, but it would be gluten-free for sure. So, and then we have canned cocktails, which are all gluten-free as well.
Awesome.
So Sideshow released one of the things that we had to do in the state of Nebraska, we get pretty involved in legislative stuff because alcohol is one of the highest regulated industries, right? It's like alcohol and guns are like the 2 highest regulated. And so we are in there every year with our lobbyist, just trying to figure out, in the Nebraska Brewers Guild, trying to figure out how we can make beer and whiskey locally, take down roadblocks and things like that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we had to figure out is the taxes in Nebraska at one point was just like a flat rate per gallon across the spectrum of spirits, whether it's a 5% alcohol cocktail that's mostly juice and mixers, or it's a bottle of 100 proof whiskey. They were charging per gallon the same price, right? Okay. So on whiskey, that worked because whiskey can demand a little bit higher, but like for a 4-pack of cocktails, we wanted to charge under $10, and so it just didn't work. That the taxes on that would have made it almost as expensive as buying a cocktail at the bar. And so we went to the legislature, asked them to lower that tax rate. We got it not as low as we wanted, but we got it down to closer to like what wine would be. And so then that's why in the last 5 years, you've seen kind of this explosion of canned cocktails in the market in Nebraska.
Absolutely.
Because before that, and it was our group, and then Zach from Brickway and Lucky Bucket here in town, a good friend of mine, and we worked together, our 2 groups, to hire this lobbyist and to get this tax rate down to where we could release these cocktails, and we're the only 2 groups in the state that are doing them locally, but now we're seeing all these national ones come in, so it's like the consumer wins in that situation for sure. So
I was wondering if you're going someplace, going out to eat or whatever, going to another bar or whatever, and you can't order Kinkaider. What kind of beer are you ordering?
Yeah. So my favorite breweries in the state, besides obviously our own, I would put White Elm right up there. They're out of Lincoln, Nebraska. There's a really small one out in Ord, Nebraska called Scratchtown. Good buddies of mine, and we kind of started around the same time, so I'll always support those dudes. Cross Train Boys here in town are doing a great job. Brickway's doing a great job. There's a lot of good ones. Like the thing that we're really blessed with in Nebraska is to have honestly really good breweries. There's not the worst thing that could happen for our industry is a bunch of shitty breweries popping up, and so we want to make sure that every brewery in the state is brewing good beer, because what happens, I always tell my crew this, our competition isn't the brewery down the street. It's not even really like Busch Light and Bud Light. That's not really our competition. Our competition is getting people out of the house. Our competition is Netflix, and then trying to get people off the couch, and to come to our spaces. So because if somebody goes down the street and they go to Nebraska Brewing Company and it was their first craft beer ever and they loved it, guess where they're going next? They're going to hit one of our places. They're going to hit Cross Strain. They're going to hit Kinkaider. They're going to hit Brickway, because they're going to be looking for more craft beer. And that's something that I feel like our industry here in Nebraska has done a really good job at, just kind of that rising tide lifts all boats mentality, which is not normal in most industries.
Yeah. The first time I was introduced to Kinkaider was, I've been sitting here trying to remember what the shoot was, but I saw somebody had brought it as a prop.
Okay.
And I was like, who designed this can? Like, I loved the design of it. That was literally my first exposure, because I couldn't drink it, but I was like, this design is awesome. And kind of deep dove into it. And the client was the one to tell me.
Sure.
About the brew, about you guys, because I was like, oh, cool, like I had no idea,
Cool.
But it was a really kind of cool introduction to it, because the design's great.
Thank
the brand,
you.
the brand design's beautiful.
I get the pleasure of doing kind of the marketing and branding side and managing that for our company. I've worked with some fantastic artists over the years, but the one artist that has been with us since the very beginning, his name is Matt Carlson. He's actually an Omaha guy, independent artist. He does. We're the only alcohol brand that he does, but he's got an amazing portfolio that people can check out. He has literally touch the brand of every product I've ever produced, from Kinkaider to Beer House to Sideshow to our coffee company now as well. And so it's been really cool to work with him. And now, when you first start those relationships, it's always a little clunky and kind of figuring out how each other works. And he's trying to get what's in here out. And so now it's like we can jump on a call and it's like we're on the same page. Like I said, we've been working almost 10 years together now. But he is an amazing artist. And it's funny, we'll throw that artwork out there, and we've even won some awards because of his artwork on, art people always recognize that. You know what I mean? Because we could have done it cheaper and easier, but I really feel I grew up in the grocery industry, my dad being a butcher, and I always said to the team, it's like, you got to sell the beer before they drink it, right? Like that art caught your eye first, right? And if you go into the grocery store and you see this kind of landscape of beers, it's easy to get lost. And so you got to do something that's a billboard to pull people in, and that's something that we committed to it pretty early on.
Smart. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So Broken Bow.
Yeah, Broken Bow.
You guys from there, or?
Yeah, so 3 of my partners are. I was the only one that was not. Okay. So I had back in let me think for a second, 2008, I bought a grocery store there. That was kind of the business I was in before this. Me and my dad and my brother, I have 3 brothers. We started a grocery store together in 2005 in McCook, Nebraska, and then bought our second store in Broken Bow in 2008. I had gotten, by 2010 we were in Broken Bow. I got married in 2009. Me and my wife, it just kind of made sense for us to move up there. And so we lived there for about 8 years. And during that time, I started the brewery with the guys. Awesome. So, it's been cool. Like me and the same 4 owners that I started with, great dudes, great guys to grow a business with, and now we've grown it to that almost 150 people now. So
the tap rooms have kind of food menu as well.
Yeah.
Are those places that families will go out to eat to?
Yeah. So our Broken Bow location, our initial location, the mothership as we call it, is it's very much a community hub type place, right? Like people are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, and when mom and dad come to town, or grandma and grandpa come to town, or when the kids come to town, they have to go to the brewery, right? I mean, it's literally like us and 3 other restaurants in Broken Bow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and so we have literally grown every year for 10 years at that location. It's cool too, because like the local hotels are kind of like we'll do an Oktoberfest out there and bring in 1,000 people, and for Omaha 1,000 people, whatever. But in Broken Bow, when the whole population's 3,000, we're bringing 1,000 people out. So we put people in the hotels, and they're eating at other places and getting coffee at other places, and it's cool to kind of see the economic impact that we've had on that little community, and that whole town, whether they're beer drinkers or not, they're excited about Kinkaider. You know what I mean? And they'll come out there and eat. So yeah, definitely, kids are always welcome at all of our locations. At our locations that are just bars, we do kind of a soft cutoff around 9 or 10. All of our bars and restaurants close at the latest by midnight, and so yeah, we definitely want to be a family friendly place.
So I'm also like a family travel writer. Yeah. And so part of like my planning has always been to find like the family friendly breweries, which sounds weird, but like there are some cool places where kids are totally welcome, and that you can sit and taste like a local beer, and there's like food for the kids, and there might be games or an outdoor space.
Sure.
And so
Broken Bow is awesome. For sure that. Okay. We have a huge lawn area. Kids can go out and throw cornhole. We've got cows right in the distance. I think it's one of the most beautiful places to have a beer after dark in the summertime, because the field next to us, if it's right, like after harvest type thing, that whole field, I mean, there's like fireflies for miles, and you can sit there in this beautiful kind of sand hills scenery. The sunsets are awesome out there, and have a great beer. But the B&B that we have there is about a 1,600 square foot apartment, so we actually have whole families come and stay there.
That's awesome.
Like when I go out there, it's like that's for me and my kids.
I know. I was like, I read it too, and I was like, I think I might be going to Broken Bow.
Isn't there like, I mean, not totally for the family, but there's like in the shower, there's like a beer fridge.
There's a beer fridge in the shower.
So cool.
My general contractor, I think he thinks I'm a little insane, but when he comes to me and I was like, hey, here's what my idea for this is, I want you to figure out how to put a beer, like a little college fridge in the shower. And he goes, what are you talking about? I was like, instead of mint on your pillow, we're going to put a beer in your shower. And so we have like #shower beer on there. And so everybody that rents the place, of course, of age, we give them a 6-pack of our beer in that fridge in the shower. And they can take it with them, or they can drink it there, whatever. But just kind of a nice little thing that we've added in to make people stay better.
Now, how far is that drive from Omaha?
So about from Omaha, I would say about 3.5 hours. Yeah, from Lincoln's about 3 hours, but you wouldn't go through Lincoln. You can take highway across a little bit and cut off a little bit of time. If you want to hit I-80, you go a little bit further. But it's a great place. I mean, if you want to get out of the city, it's an pretty easy drive, beautiful drive, and you get to go out there into the sandhills of Nebraska. And it's a pretty unique area for Nebraska too. Yeah. More rivers. All the rivers are running through there. So a lot of people don't know this, but Nebraska has more linear miles of river than any other state, right? They're all right up in that area. So good hunting, good fishing up in that area, good camping, some beautiful golf courses there. It's a good place.
Do you happen to know if any outfitters are out there for like tanking?
For sure there is. Yeah, there's all kinds of them. Yeah, tanking is a big deal out there. Yeah.
That would be a fun weekend for people that go stay at the B&B and then tank for a day.
Yeah, that's good. So we're for our 10-year anniversary. Our 10-year anniversary is December 7th, and so we're taking our management from every location, bringing them out there, putting them up in the hotel there, and we're just going to throw a big old party for our 10-year anniversary. That's we're inviting people that have kind of been with us along the way. But then anybody is welcome. It's an open to the public event. But it's kind of crazy that we've been doing this for 10 years now.
So for a tap room or brewery, what's the most fun holiday to celebrate there?
Decorate
for, plan for?
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's not real. I mean, Oktoberfest is our big thing, right? Like that's kind of our Christmas around what we do, whether it's at the brewery or at the beer house. Christmas is always great. We do tons of Christmas parties, and like I said, we kind of just became that hub there in Broken Bow to where people kind of celebrate all their major life events, which is cool. And that has leached into some of our other places too. I mean, here in Omaha, Maddie and the crew, they do a ton of private events. We're pretty good at throwing parties, and we've kind of leaned into that a little bit, and so we get a lot of that traffic for sure.
Awesome.
That's cool. Okay, so now I'm going to pose another question because I'm not only real fun with my gluten-freeness, but with my veganness as well.
Yes.
Any ideas on some vegan sausage offerings?
Oh my God. You know what? I grew up a son of a butcher. I can't say that. I can't have that recorded even if I do.
know.
You know what I mean?
I know. I was like, man, that sounds awesome.
We have really great pretzels, though. We work with a bakehouse in Texas, and we sell a ton of pretzels.
Yeah. Are they the big, like...
We have an 8-ounce one, and then we have like a 24-ounce one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a loaf of bread, essentially. So. But it's great. People love them. You know, it's like if we're gonna only offer 2 menu items, they've got to be really good.
Yeah.
And so we're actually in the kind of an exciting thing that we haven't really talked about yet is our Omaha location here. It is just a tap room right now. It doesn't have any food in it, but the sausage and pretzel kitchen in Lincoln is going so well. We're actually doing drawings here and hopefully have that in the next 6.
You think in that same kind of area?
Yeah, it'll be in that same area.
Awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Yeah, that whole area where Taproot, like, is just awesome.
Yeah, it's a great area.
It really is.
Yeah, we kind of got tied in with the guys at Baxter and UNO, and we just actually released like the Creighton basketball beer with the Brew J. It's called Brew J. With, you know what I mean? And so that's been fun, and we got Mavericks beer, which has been pretty fun. So I feel like we've done a pretty good job just in our little spot there in Exarban and integrating into Omaha and kind of penetrating what's here, you know. So
So for someone who isn't a craft beer drinker yet, what would you recommend to them when they go to a tap room?
Yeah. So what we would probably say if people aren't craft beer drinkers and they want to start, kind of just exploring that world, we've got some really light, easy drinking, usually fruited beers that, like one of my favorites is our grapefruit Radler. So Radler's a German wheat beer that we actually dose with like a sparkling grapefruit soda, essentially. And it's low alcohol. It's about 3.5% alcohol. Kind of like a shandy, I guess, would be the closest. That's a great starter beer. You know, it's just easy to drink, especially if you like the flavor of grapefruit. We got some other light beers. Dan the Wiser, which is named after our brewer Dan, is just a super light lager. I think it's one of the best just light beers. I mean, we still want it to have flavor, but it's something that if you're only used to domestic beers or kind of macro beers, that would be a great starter as well. And then we have a great IPA. I mean, a lot of people, I know people don't start out with IPAs, but our IPA Dragon Juice it's just a really easy drinking IPA, very tropical hops and citrusy hops, and so it's a good one too. Some IPAs can get a little bitter sometimes for depending on what you're used to drinking, but that's a great one as well.
Nice. So when you're in Omaha, like when you're field research, maybe, I don't know, or just having fun, what are some places that you like to hit up?
I am a huge fan of what the flagship guys have done here in town. I mean, I think I haven't checked out their new what is it, Champagne Lanes?
We just went this past weekend.
I want to go check it out. I have not. I think they do such a good job. In this industry, you only have to have 3 things. You have to have good atmosphere, good product, and good service. And you can be successful in Omaha, or you can be successful out in the middle of nowhere in Broken Bow if you have those 3 things. And so those are the things that I look for right away. If people pay attention, the owner has to be in charge of atmosphere, right? You got to build the brand, you got to build the feel and the vibe of the place. The employees can't do that. The owner has to be in charge of product, right? So we got to make sure we're making the best product, putting out the best cocktails and food and all those things. And then you got to make sure that you're training the staff and empowering the staff to give great service, you know, and what I've found with that piece is like, you just have to care about your staff really at the end of the day. If you care, especially this younger generation. I mean, I'm 41 and I have a lot of people that are working for me in their, you know, early to mid 20s. You just have to care about them. And if you care about them, they care about what you're doing, you know, and it works out pretty good. So I have 5 ladies that helped me open Lincoln Kinkaider, and they're all still 5 with me. And this is 6 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's like, so it's if you can do those 3 things, and back to the flagship guys, I think they do those 3 things consistently well across all of their brands. Like one of our favorite restaurants in the state, I would put it in my top 3, is Plank downtown. I think they do such, and that's a flagship. A lot of people don't even know that's part of their portfolio. It's fantastic. It's a great restaurant, you know? And so, fans of those guys for sure. I love what, you know, I've been cheering Zach on, you know, Brickway and him buying Lucky Bucket out, and then he's kind of running 2 breweries and 2 distilleries. I think he's nuts, but I love to see it, and I'm hoping to see a lot of success for him. But yeah, those are kind of the fun spots. You know, obviously we like to go check out what's going on in Benson. I like Barshin beer, so we're actually making all the sausages for Barshin beer now, and Ryan, who owns that, a buddy of mine, so I like seeing what they're doing. They just opened a new spot in Blackstone called Tenants.
Oh, I didn't know they were connected.
Yeah, same group. Yeah. Okay. And I have not checked that out. I heard it's great, but have not got over there yet. But Omaha's popping, man. Like there's a lot of, I mean, it's funny, you know, I live in Lincoln, and it's like you kind of forget Omaha's a real city. You know what I mean? Like Lincoln's a big town. Omaha's like an actual city, you know? And so, and there's good and bad that comes with that. But I think for the most part, it's a pretty exciting place to be.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a good segue. So like we ask all of our guests when you come on, and you could answer for Omaha or for Lincoln or your hometown or at Broken Bow, but where do you find inspiration?
Me personally, I feed off of people, man. Like I love just talking shop with people, and I love people. I love to be around people that are really excited about what they do. You know, I am a firm believer that small business is going to save the world, and so I want to help see people grow in that no matter what. And so I find a lot of inspiration from, I do actually a little bit of consulting on the side for restaurants and bars. I love it. And I've had some really good people that I've worked with. And every time I do one of those jobs, I learn something and I have a takeaway, and I can put kind of more things in my arsenal to help the next person. So I really get most of my inspiration from people that are really excited about running their small business. That gets me excited, and I want to see that grow. And I know this about myself. I want to see other people succeed in that, because I know how fulfilling it's been in my life. So, yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. Honestly, like such a leader you are that comes through in everything that you said. That's amazing. You. And on the big takeaway on what everything you said has been great. I love the idea of you take care of your people and they'll take care of you. It's like the biggest lesson in any business, I think, or any endeavor. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Before we end, is there anything that you want to plug or mention that you might have forgotten? Or
we're just the excitement of opening in that Kearney location, and then if you got any good places that you want to see us around Omaha, hit me up.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank
you so much.
Appreciate it, ladies.
Thanks for listening to Oh My Omaha, the podcast. We want to thank our guest, Hurrdat Media, all of you for your support, and the Omaha community at large.
So from Dee and I, keep on exploring.